evil has always been a problem, a big, big problem. Why is there evil in the world? And again, we have got to go back to the traditions, the history, prehistory of the fall of man, and the exclusion from, in poetic terms, of Adam and Eve, the human race, from the Garden of Eden. That has to be the starting point. I know it's very simplistic, but there's an awful contradiction in our nature. We want to do the things that are good, and we end up doing the things that are bad. And that's the only answer I can give. I can't give any more than that.
Okay. And so on the question of where do atheists get their morality, I think...
Okay.
Yeah, can they replace moral foundation?
Okay, well, we don't replace the moral foundation. Moral foundation is there anyway, and religion has kind of hijacked it and created the impression that religion is the source of it. We are moral because we're social animals. And as social animals, cooperation and competition are both parts of what enable us to survive and to get on with each other and to thrive and populate, which is what evolution caused to happen. Now, there are many examples, even outside of non-human animals behaving in ways that we would recognise as being moral. There are examples that scientists have shown of a rat who is given food and notices that if he eats the food, another rat is given an electric shock, and the rat won't eat food because he doesn't want the other rat to have an electric shock. There's examples of monkeys who are given a token to put in a slot, and food comes out, and one of the monkeys can't figure out how it works, and another monkey takes the token off that monkey, puts it into the slot, the food comes out, and the monkey that figured it out gives the food to the monkey that couldn't figure it out. So there are many examples of non-human animals behaving in a moral way, and it's based on the natural evolution of our brains. It's based on things like compassion, empathy, cooperation, reciprocity, fairness, justice. It's based on avoiding unnecessary suffering and maximising the well-being of other sentient beings. So it already exists, and what religion does is it claims ownership of this natural phenomenon, and does so in a way that is very self-serving. And with regards to the question that you were saying about, why is there evil from a religious perspective, there's a big dilemma from a religious perspective, because the religious argument about why is there evil is typically that God wants us to be good voluntarily. So God gives us free will, and it's important for God for some reason that we have free will. So if we have free will, then we can choose to do good just voluntarily, and God has to allow evil to exist in order to enable us to have the free will to do good voluntarily. And why would he do that? Well, who knows? Because how can we understand that, what God thinks, and it's a mystery. Now that's essentially what the religious argument, the strongest religious argument for the existence of evil, comes down to. But the difficulty with that is you can apply the exact same argument with exactly the same logic and reason the other way around. You can say that there is an all-evil God. You can assume that there's an all-evil God, and what he wants is he wants the maximum amount of evil to be done in the world, and he wants people to cause unnecessary suffering every day of the week. Now, he also wants us to do that voluntarily. He doesn't want to force us to do it, because he's given us free will. And so in order to enable us to voluntarily do as much evil as we can, he has to allow good to happen, so that we're voluntarily choosing to do evil rather than being forced to do evil. And why would he do that? Well, who knows? How can we understand the mind of God? Exactly. Now that sounds like a...
Sorry.
I was going to say that sounds like an absurd argument, but obviously it doesn't to some people. But I mean, but the point about it is that there is no reason other than personal preference. When you look at how the world operates and the amount of both good and evil that exists in the world, there's no reason other than personal preference to choose to believe that there's an all-good God or that there's an all-evil God, or as or the other possibility is a God that doesn't care, and the other possibility is that there's no God, which is the one that I think is more likely.